So I think we could start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adam Busulano, and this is the EPDE webinar on the upcoming parliamentary and presidential elections in Romania. The presidential elections is set on for 24th of November with a potential runoff on 8 December if no candidate wins a majority. The race is still highly unpredictable, with 14 candidates on the ballot and quite dynamic and fluctuating opinion polls in recent months. Amid this, a parliamentary election has been a sandwich in between of these two rounds on 1st of December. In 2020, Romania's parliament saw 5 political parties and minority representatives, several of them, to gain seats. And a coalition government was formed between historic and I would say even notorious rivals, the liberal PNL and the so-called post-communist PSD. A rotating government was established, something new in the Romanian political history, I would say, which should change leadership every 18 months. Meanwhile, far-right parties like AUR and SOS Romania, of the eccentric member of the European Parliament, member Diana Sosoaca, have gained significant support, now commanding about a third of voter support among nearly 19 million eligible voters. And these parties can have an impact on the future politics of Romania. And this is especially important because also this election is has an importance for European security, especially with the NATO base near Constanta, poised to surpass the German Ramstein air base in size and strategic value in the future. Yet the global and European media have largely overlooked implications of these important elections. So today we'll explore this situation and the whole packed electoral calendar with this third and fourth elections in 2024 in Romania, after the local elections and the European elections in June. And I think we will today dive into two key aspects of this: the cost of the campaign and the media dynamics. And these are two very important aspects and factors of this election, but they are also deeply intertwined. But before we start the discussion, before I introduce our experts today, I wanted to mention that this discussion is recorded and you can post your questions in the Q&A section. So joining us today are Cristina Lupu, Executive Director of the Center for Independent Journalism, and Septimius Parvu, Electoral Program Coordinator with Expert Forum, one of the 3 new EPDE members. And he's also one of the leaders of the Vote Correct coalition. And Septimius, let me start with you. And why this winter election marathon, and what's actually the main intrigue?
Thank you very much. Hello, first of all. Thank you very much, Adam and EPD, for hosting us for this discussion. I will try briefly to explain what will what has happened so far and what we expect to see in the next 3 weeks. Just two words about what we do, and I will try to show you some of the results of our monitoring. So we are firstly part of the Vote Correct Coalition you already mentioned, a network of NGOs which works throughout the country to accredit observers. So we will also observe the election day. So far, we have some 700 observers, I think, accredited, but the process is still going until the end of the end of the period. And also, we are trying to look at some of the essential things, including campaign finance, party and campaign finance, because you will see in Romania, I think these two things are very intertwined, and we'll try to explain why. We look into the candidates, we look into the election administration. So we try to understand basically everything most of what's happening around us. And I have some, just to put a little bit the ideas into context, I have some slides. I know everybody hates slides, but I think it's a little bit easier because I also have some graphs for you. So I think this will help. And I hope they are visible. So first of all, you were already mentioning about this overlapping elections. I think it's the first time we have this situation. Usually in the 90s, early 2000s, when we had this kind of electoral year with both presidential and parliamentary elections, we organized the first round of presidential elections with the parliamentary elections. But this year, the parties didn't want this option. Actually, the date of the elections was changed several times. It was the same with the local and EU elections, no, because these are set at EU level. But the political parties try to change the calendar many times, and so that it fits their needs. Basically, I don't have an explanation when we have this calendar. I mean, I don't have a logical explanation that would, I don't know. Let's say we spend less money, or it's it's better for the voter. I think it's not easy for the administration, it's not easy for the voter, but probably it's a little bit easier for the I don't know, mainstream parties which have more resources. And by the way, we also have a referendum apart from these all these election weekends. We have 3 referendums actually, but local referendums. But the biggest one is in Bucharest, and I will refer very briefly at the end of the year. But it was a political decision. This is a political calendar. It doesn't make any, I don't know, it doesn't have a sense in terms of technical explanation. So don't try to find one. Again, the 1st of December is our national day, so it complicates things a little bit more. I was hearing there were discussions to move the events from the national day in another day, which is ridiculous. So basically, so that we can organize elections on December 1st, we have to move the parades and all these kind of things, which is ridiculous to move the national day. Basically, this is what it means, because on election day you are not allowed to campaign, so they are not allowed to organize events. And usually we have this kind of 1st of December. We also have this lunch for people. So this is forbidden. So you cannot organize this kind of thing. So this is basically the calendar. There will be a second round. There is no doubt, and I will show you a little bit how the polls look like. So it's not there is no doubt that we'll have 3 weekends of elections, because at this point the highest percentage for presidential elections, it's 20-something percent. So it's not it's not close to 40, or so there is no outlier, basically not an outlying candidate. And there are some challenges because we have parallel campaigns, although they didn't start at the same day. And according to the law, these are 2 completely different elections. We have apart from the members of the polling, so in terms of administration, and I think this is also worth explaining a little bit. So the heads of the polling station commissions are independent from a political party. So they are part of a group which is called the body of electoral experts. So they are not nominated by political parties, but the rest of the members are political party nominated. and only the ones which are the heads of and the vice presidents are not are the same for the entire 3 weekends. But otherwise, the upper level administration is different. So we have 2 central electoral bureaus, we have two sets of middle range administration. So basically, you have to follow 2 elections in the same time, which is incredible. It's very hard to follow. What's also interesting, there are decisions on some of the procedures which are different from, although the law states the same thing, the electoral administration interprets it different, which is for us, it is a risk, because you have the same text in the law, but each of the administration for each of the elections is different. So I think this is an issue, and it might be an issue in the following period. And also, it's a total chaotic propaganda. You don't know exactly who's promoting what, and I will show you some posters to see how they are intertwined. You don't know who's a candidate for the parliament and who's for the president. And I think this also raises the questions of financing, because again, these are completely different elections, different reporting procedures, but in fact they do overlap, and I think all this entire overlapping reduces the efficiency of the administration, and I think it's also an issue for us because it's almost impossible to follow the hundreds of pages of decisions which are taken. So this is a little bit of a context, but I want to get into the more real data. So as you already mentioned, we have 14 candidates. These are you can see some of them. They are, I think they are random here. It's not according to the I don't know, to their results. And we have, you see in the lower left, lower right, you see a person who has an X over it. This is Ludovic Orban, which just withdrew last night. So we have 13 basically now. We don't have 14 anymore. Well, the law does not allow you to withdraw officially, so he will be on the ballots. But he withdrew for Mrs. Lasconi, which is on the upper side, the fourth from the left. So we have probably around 4 candidates, which are, let's say, not eligible, but let's say who are favored or have higher percentages. Some of these are independent candidates, but most of them are supported by political parties. And also, you see on the left, right, you were referring earlier to SOS Romania. I think this is an important comment. This is Mrs. Diana Șoșoacă, and I chose this picture because I think it shows very well the attitude of the party. She's member of the European Parliament. And probably you've seen that she was sanctioned, actually, I think in one of her first appearances. But she was rejected from the race by a decision of the Constitutional Court, which we found abusive. Very shortly, so we have the Central Electoral Bureau, which verifies the administrative criteria, that you have the age, that you fulfill you have the documents, you fulfill the technical part. But in her case, the Constitutional Court decided to reject her because of her attitude, basically. I mean, she is a character, and her party is a character which has some strange behavior, including going to the Russian embassy. So this was actually one of the things which was criticized by the Constitutional Court. But the Constitutional Court rejected her because of how she would behave as a president. So it's what happens if, which again is we find very abusive. And one of the theories is basically this was a political decision to help Mr. Ciolacu, which is also the prime minister now, and the favored candidate, which has the most votes, to get into the second round with George Simion, which is in the middle of the upper row. and which is the head of AUR, you were mentioning earlier, one of the extremist, right extremist party, because the theory is that if this was the final, this would be the final race, Ciolacu would be favored because people would vote for him and not for an extremist party, which is very debatable, and it might be very well backfire. So we have now this discussion, it might be would have been a very bad decision. But just a little bit about who's favorite. Polls are not a tool in Romania. You cannot use polls to see who wins. I mean, they are more of a propaganda instrument. So parties pay for polls to push for their agenda and to basically make them look better than they seem, or look other candidates to look worse than actually they are. And if you see this, okay, maybe I don't know. You don't.
It's a very dynamic picture, indeed.
It is, but yeah, let's look from the middle probably, because we also have from January, so it's a little bit maybe premature to know who will be president. We had local elections, meanwhile, so things happen. But even you read a new poll each day, and it's very contradictory to the one which was earlier. But anyway, Marcel Ciolacu, which is the prime minister now, is the favorite, the red line, the Social Democrat Party. And in the second round, we don't know exactly, because we have very different figures, either George Simion from AUR, which I was showing you earlier, Elena Lasconi, which is from the Save Romanian Union, Mircea Joană, who's independent, he was the deputy head of NATO, and Nicolae Ciolacu, which is, Nicolae Ciucă, which is the head of the Liberal Party, and actually, which is in government with the Social Democrats. What they officially they split up, or they had, I don't know, it's kind of a a telenovela, a soap opera. They keep fighting and keep going back in the alliances. And actually, in June, PSD and PNL were in an alliance. They won the EU parliamentary elections in an alliance of almost 50%. But now the Liberals, in a very bad communication strategy, I think the consultants should give the money back probably. They are saying that the Social Democrats will steal the elections. So that's why they want to break the alliance, but on the other side, they want to stay in government because they have the Ministry of Interior, and that's important. But saying that the elections will be stolen, I think it's a very dangerous fraud. Sorry, not stolen, but it's a very dangerous thing. Just briefly, I just want to share a little bit about I won't go into the parliamentary elections, but I think it's important just to understand the parties. Where are the parties who are associated with the candidates? This year, probably we have one of the highest number of candidates in the past elections, more than 8,000. Which is quite a number. I mean, compared to different to previous elections, from 31 competitors. This is for both chambers. We have a dual chamber parliament, Senate and Chamber of Deputies. These are some of the parties which candidate. Social Democrat Party, you see the SOS Romania, Liberal Party out. These have the most candidates. So up to 630 candidates. I won't go into this, just wanted to show you that's how much candidates a party can have. But here we go to the same polls, which are again, if you look for in PNL, for example, it's a very different analysis from one poll to another. So again, PSD, the Social Democrat Party, which is in power, is probably will get the most. Some say 20-something, 30%, depends on the poll. Probably I will get some 20%, which is quite a high percentage. We also have the Liberal Party, which it's somewhere between, I don't know, 50-20%. But yeah, the parties are somehow reflect the presidential candidates, but on the other side, the Liberal Party is probably over its candidates. So usually you have the presidential candidate which has more votes than the party. But in the case of the Liberal Party, Mr. Ciucă is much under the party itself. So this is a little bit the polls about the campaign, very briefly. So this is a poster. Very importantly, during the election period, we are not allowed to use outdoor campaigning, apart from these small posters, A4 posters, and some leaflets. But if you want to have, I know, tents, if you want to have cars which have the name of a candidate, banners, you are not allowed to. So basically, the day the election starts, the election campaign starts, which is 30 days before the elections, you have to take everything out. So if you come now in Romania, you won't see elections. You will see empty streets. Basically, this is it. These are A4. These are A4 posters. Here you see candidates both for the presidency and the parliament. It's a huge mess. You don't know exactly who's candidate for what. So I think generally this is our campaign. I think this reflects very well the campaign. What we had, usually we didn't have TV debates. In the previous elections in 2019, there was no debate. But this year we had some sort of debates. Actually, last night we have the ones that you see on the left. Also, again, Mr. Orban, I mentioned him there. Actually, he announced yesterday evening that he will get out of the race. So this was organized by Digi24, which 24, which is one of the main TV stations in Romania, and together with the university in Cluj. But Mr. Ciolacu and Mr. Ciucă didn't attend. So the prime minister and Mr. Ciucă is also the head of the Senate. They didn't attend. They went to another TV station, which is ridiculous because I think it shows the lack of disrespect towards the voters. So all the others went, a part of them, not all were invited probably. The ones with the lower percentages, I guess they were not invited. So they were, Antenna 3, which is the TV station which they went to, organized a parallel debate, I think on one side to somehow cripple the debate which was already announced for some time. And they had quite a monologue. So I think it is more than we had so far. I think, again, it is ridiculous to have this kind of behavior. And I think what it's also very important to mention about the campaign, instead of having discussion about topics, and I don't know, you were just referring to the, geopolitical strategy. What do we do in the EU? What do we do in NATO? What do we do with the war in Ukraine? I mean, all these kind of things. I think most of the campaign was about scandals. I mean, about Mr. Simion, there were some discussions that he met with foreign Russian agents about, I don't know, Mr. Ciolacu. We have now all kinds of scandals in which he got money from businessmen which are now under investigation. Again, from Mr. Joan, he was surrounded by some businessmen which had some problematic affairs. One of them, including with the Russian, with Russia. So I think this was our campaign. I mean, instead of seeing debates, we've seen this kind of more scandals, and I think the campaign was very bad generally. And I think, yeah.
So if I could interrupt you, because this is,
sure.
I think, a great moment. We are now actually coming to those two topics where they when they interconnect the money and the scandals around the money and the media. And if you allow me, maybe to go over to Christina at this moment, and allow also Christina to take over at this moment and continue on the the question if these media actually fulfill its public mandate in this campaign. Christina, if you could maybe continue this from this point, and then we can go back to Septimius, and then allow our audience to ask some questions.
Okay. Hello, also from my side. I have already some questions for Septimius, so I am eager for the conversation. To start answering your question, some of the media are, most of the media aren't, and I think when Septimiu was talking about the scandals and the idea that on Antena 3's debate it was mostly a monologue, I noted that a problem that we have now is that the questions are missing, or the important questions are missing. The politicians aren't asked hard questions. They aren't challenged to talk about solutions. And one of the reasons for which this is happening, and another thing, the politicians do not want to answer questions when they are asked because they are used to not being asked. And one of the reasons for which this is happening is the huge amount of money that enters the media from political parties. I will try to share my presentation to see if this time works.
I think this is
Yes.
normal for politicians, you know, that they don't want to answer your questions. They are actually, I think they are trained not to answer.
Yes, but in a way they pretend they are trying to answer. In our case, we feel that they really do not receive any questions that they need to answer. We do every year a report about the status of the Romanian media. And we talk with journalists from the mainstream media, from the local media, from independent media. And the report that was published early this year looked at the way the media sees itself and the problems. And I will show you some quotes from the journalists because they present the situation better than I would be able to do. Cătălin Moraru, he is an editor-in-chief from Monitorul de Botoșani, one of the oldest local media in Romania, in a very poor part of the country, one of the poorest counties, where there are around 36 media outlets. So we have a big number of media around the country, and Cătălin, when he mentioned how bad the situation is, he referred at the public, and every time the public needs to look a lot if they want to find any valuable information. And one of the reasons is the advertising. So these are the data, these are the amounts of money that enter only from the public subsidy. So not other contracts that are entering the media. So in 2023, the entire amount of money that was spent by the political parties for the press and propaganda budget category was around 24.5 million. That was a double in budget comparing to 2021, and also an increase of 20% comparing with 2022. This year, between January and July, the parties spent already 26 million euro. And these are money only coming from the political parties' budget. These are not the costs related with the electoral campaign, the money that Septimius told you that are also involved, but they are reported separately. If we look at the Romanian advertising market, the market is estimated that at the end of 2024 will be around 762 million euro. These are only the commercial money. So the money that are coming from advertising contracts from political parties or public institutions aren't counted here. From somebody outside of the country or somebody who doesn't look closely at the media market or the political market, the question could be, and why that's important? It's good that the politicians are giving money to the media. It's good that the media is supported and they receive funds. The problem in Romania is that the funds that enter the media and the media who receive this money sometimes do not mark the content as advertising. So it appears on websites or it is broadcasted as a journalistic piece that was produced by a journalist. But most of the time, these are advertising requests coming from the political parties. I am sadly joking, saying that if somebody is watching Facebook, is better informed to understand what's advertising than somebody opening one of the websites who do that. Because on this website, you see only, for example, a quote from the Prime Minister or a quote from somebody else, which is presented as news, but it is part of an advertising contract. So the problem is that we do not have information about where the money are going. The political parties refuse to make this data public, and the little information that we have come mostly from a few journalists who are stubborn and document the topic and try to bring some light into the topic. The data are kept a secret. The authorities are always saying it's not their task to give that data and are always pushing the problem from one to the other. These are the money coming from the political parties, but there are also other money related to political parties or institutions that are entering the media. These are advertising contracts coming from European grants, from other big programs, the money that the local institutions have for advertising. So there is a lot of money with a political string attached, entering the media. And if in Romania also, like all over the world, the companies do not pay for advertising as much as they did previously. So the political money are quite important for the media to survive, and that's a big problem. One of the journalists with whom we talked said that this non-transparent way of allocating the money is probably one of the biggest problems of the Romanian media. And that was a discussion in 2023. And as he said, it is proven that 2024 is even worse than we experienced in 2023. Why this is a problem is that the public is not informed, but in the same time, the problem is that the media market is distorted. We were used to have a TV station who was supporting somebody, the other TV station was supporting another candidate, another TV station was supporting the other political party. So they weren't being objective, let's say, but the public could receive information from different parts and had and receive a little bit of information. At this point, we do not have this because with this money entering the media, there is a lot of silence, especially from some of the mainstream TV stations. So the people remains the citizens remain uninformed. And you can see this this problem as Răzvan Ionescu, who is the publisher of one of the biggest online outlets in Romania, hotnews.ro, said that this money entering the media not only affect the daily reporting, but also start to be felt in the organizational culture. So if you know that you are not supposed to ask questions, if you know that you have to trash another candidate, if you know that a story will not be published or broadcasted, you will not bother in a lot of the cases to fight for it, because you know that will be a stupid fight for you. The local media, that is in a lot of cases overlooked. It's very important, because Romania, it's a TV country, so we watch a lot of TV, but the local media is still connected, or more strongly connected with their public, and they have a big mandate to fulfill. Sadly, in a lot of cases, this is impossible. As you can see there better how the money affect the media. One of the journalists with whom we talk, Adriana, said that at this point, most of the money entering into the local media, in a lot of the cases, or in most of the cases, are coming from political parties or companies that are related to politicians, to public institutions. So the pressure to be nice to the politicians is huge, as you need those resources to survive. In the same time, the pressure is on the other journalists, because it's very easy to receive this money. So you receive a contract, you only publish press releases, you do not ask questions, you really do not have to work hard. So this idea that the journalist should go there, should ask the question, should publish, or should investigate is complicated to find, as more and more institutions are already created with this idea in mind, that they will do this type of hidden or propaganda journalism, which is not journalism, but is lying the public this is journalism.
It's basically a political ad.
It's basically.
We would call it in I would say in a previous Ukrainian context, a jinsa, right? Which is not an information, but it's
it's an advertorial that doesn't have the advertorial mark.
Christina, one question, because we have 20 minutes left now, and I encourage our audience to ask questions here. You don't have to pay for it, and we will not label it political or not political. So feel free to ask questions. What about the state-owned media? Are there any impactful media, and what about the international media or media houses owning outlets or TV stations or radio stations in Romania, and how does it
I will try to answer very short. The public media, sadly, especially the TV station, was kind of made irrelevant, because people do not watch the public TV station anymore. So the audiences are very low, and that's a pity, because we need strong public media. But in a way, since the public media doesn't have a subscription anymore coming from the public, this idea that it's the state-owned media is stronger and stronger. So no, The radio is a little bit stronger. It has larger audiences. It does, in some cases, very good reporting, but sometimes they try to stay out of the hard questions, hard questions part. The international media, we have very few. We have Euronews, which audience is also small, and Ringier, which was in the middle of a huge scandal last year. The editorial team left because they accused censorship. A lot of them moved to Hot News and opened a new outlet. So it's also muddy with Ringier. It was muddy last year.
Thank you.
But maybe I was just an important thing, I think, because we are discussing about these scandals, which have been quite active these days around politicians. I think most of them came from, I don't know, independent outlets, investigative, let's say, I wouldn't say smaller, but with less money than what we're discussing now. So good investigative outlets. So I think there is a part of the media which does a great job. I think unfortunately it's too small and too underfunded. Some of them refuse to take these subsidies because they create some kind of course, you cannot write badly if you get money from the party. And I'm not talking about the campaign itself, because I think during the campaign, probably, I think it's okay to take money. I mean, of course, not necessarily if you are investigative media, but I think it's more okay than to take money outside the electoral period. And I think the issue is with these outlets which have huge monthly contracts. And as Christina said, not necessarily to on one side to create a nice image, but also to hide things from the agenda. And I think when you get into the campaign, you have this already on the ground. I mean, it's a fake discussion about the campaign itself and the financing of the campaign, as long as you have. And I think the sum is even higher than from August. This year, for example, just to give you an example, state subsidies will get up to almost, let me divide, it's almost 80 million euros. So only this year, parties get 80 million euros, of which 60% almost is media and propaganda. Yeah. So, I mean, why, I mean, and apart from this is also campaign finance, which is also reimbursed by the state. So if you get more than 3% in Romania, you get your money back. And of course, if they are spent legally. So now I think it's a great time to be a party in Romania, because you get everything back. So you don't have to work hard. And it's quite interesting because we are analyzing this, and basically apart from the party, so these subsidies are either for party activity, or you can get them into campaign. You can move the money to the campaign, the subsidy. And it's interesting to see, for example, in the presidential elections, I mean, we don't have very new data because the Permanent Electoral Authority, which is the oversight body, stopped publishing data, which is another discussion. We have the latest data from, I think, almost 2 weeks ago. But for example, PSD, which is the richest party of them all, didn't spend money from subsidies in the presidential elections. They brought private money because they know they will get the money back. So the question is, why do you need the 80 million euros? I mean, what do you do with such? And you spend 40 million on media, but you also get your campaign money reimbursed. So I mean, this is a huge sum for a state like Romania.
I think this is what Septimius said related to the media. It's very important, and it was also what the journalist said: buying silence. So not reporting into the mainstream media the topics that are reported by the independent media or by the other outlets. It means that you have a lot of silence, because if a topic is not reported on TV, the chances that all the people in the country to hear it or the majority to hear about it are very low, and the politicians know that, they understand that, so they use those money also to make sure that the investigations published by this media aren't do not reach the larger audiences.
Thank you for this. I see the first question. First question is for free, and it's a little bit, yes, political. From Alessia Kubets, thank you very much for your good presentations. I would like to ask if the political parties in Romania can receive money from abroad. Is it regulated? And is it a problem in these elections?
No, according to the law, you cannot get money from abroad. I think only there is a very limited, only for EU elections, you can get some very limited funds, but not for these elections. You're not allowed for foreign donors. You're not allowed to take.
What does it mean, foreign from outside EU or from inside EU? Is there any?
It doesn't matter. It's not foreign donors are not allowed to donate money, or parties are not allowed to receive, because donors may want to give, but you're not allowed to register. I think there is an issue, and this is one of the things which we are complaining about, is verifying the source of income, because for each donation, each loan, each money which gets into the party, there is a declaration regarding the source. So if a candidate brings money into the campaign or the party, they have to declare, or the person who, or I don't know, the bank, if a bank gives you a loan, there is a declaration about the source of the income. But I think, for example, from our research, we have seen that there are donors. There are people who gave money to the to parties. In Romania, each candidate or a public official has to declare their assets. So basically, there is a public asset declaration, and we compared the money they gave to the money they declared, and we have seen that there were people who were gaining 10 times more than they gave to the party. So let's say I get yearly 10,000, and I get to the party 500,000 or something. And we are we don't know what's the source. Maybe it's a very rich Romanian oligarch, which gives money to 20 people, and those 20 people declare it to the party. We don't know exactly. But what we are insisting on, especially due to we have this reimbursement system, which means that basically you get clean money from the state. We had discussions with the oversight body, especially this year after we've seen in Moldova and in other countries the issues that we've seen with contributions. And I don't think we are that special that nobody wants to influence our elections. So I think we are in the same region. I think there are interests. There might be states interested to get involved in our elections, and I think this verification of sources could be very well improved. And apart from this, I mean, there are all kinds of discussions about some of the parties which, let's say, are from this sovereignist populist area. There were some, let's say, more of the gossip level. We don't have any proof that. I know, for example, looking at SOS Romania, their campaign costs in June elections, in local elections, incredibly low. The costs were incredibly low, and they got 5%. So, yeah, there are some questions regarding the sources. I mean, what we do, we can analyze. We can only analyze what we see as a report. But otherwise, there is very little investigation on what might be out there apart from the. 10 years ago, we had probably more bags of money coming into campaigns than now. But I think still there is too little interest in seeing if there is a breach of financing from inside or outside. And I think especially during these times, it's interesting to see if there is interest from outside to get money into the elections.
Maybe a question connected to this, and you said that there is a kind of blurring line between the presidential and the parliamentary election. Is this done to spend more money for the campaign, or is it done to save some money for the campaign?
I don't think they're saving anything because if we look at how much money they spend so far, I mean the last data that we have from almost 2 weeks ago, I don't think there are any economies. I think the parties will bring a lot of money into this campaign because they get the money back anyway. I mean, if you get more than 3%, you will get your money back. So I think first of all, I think it's very hard to follow where the money goes to one campaign or to another one. I'm also sure when, for example, when paying for TV advertisements, okay, you don't know exactly what they promote there. So I think there is very hard to follow the money. I mean, we also don't have we have limited access. For example, you see a consultancy company who gets, I don't know, 10 million, but you don't know what they do with the money. But anyway, I think there would be a huge amount of money brought into this campaign. So just to give you an example, the Social Democrat Party, in the first 2 weeks of the presidential campaign, so the upper limit is 66 million lei, sorry, which is divided by 5, 12 million, let's say. And the Social Democrat Party spent half of it in less than 2 weeks. So I think they will spend everything. If you get your money back, why wouldn't you spend it? You go get a loan. People know that you will get the money back. So I mean, you're not bankrupt, basically. So yeah, I think there is, everybody will bring as much money as they can. But I think there is an issue with the smaller parties who don't have capacity. So I think the most affected will be those who have to get loans, for both elections. And I think the privileged ones are those who get easy money.
And an excellent question as a concluding question, because we have the last 5 minutes, to both of you, to Christina and Septimius. Given the situation we are in, do you think there are solutions to get out of this situation? How to get out of the situation? What would you, maybe to put it in a different way, what is your recommendation for the future? What has to be done? I think it's a super complex situation, of course, but what are your recommendations as experts, both in the media landscape and campaign financing? What are your main recommendations to the policy makers to change in order to solve all the problems?
Well, maybe I will let Christina start with such a hard question.
I am laughing that we asked the same question the journalists with whom we talked, and they were like, it's too late for a solution. The politicians got used to paying the media, a lot of it. Some of the media got used to receive easy money. So the idea in the market is that it's very, very complicated to convince the politicians to be more transparent. So we are not against, we at CIJ, we are not against the financing from political parties or political money, but we advocate for a transparent way for the public to know which contracts were received by the media and by which media, from whom, and on what amount of money. So that would be a solution. If it's possible or feasible, we will see with the results of the elections. I am skeptical. And the long-term solution is to educate the public, both the companies, to continue invest in media, as we need good journalism, and the business environment needs journalists to do their job, and to educate the public, to do media literacy for the public, to understand the value of journalism and why they need to pay for journalism. But it's very long term.
So the magic wand. I think with the if we look at the financing, unfortunately, I think that the parties in power developed a system which is very negative for democracy, in the sense that basically some parties became fully financed by the state. We know, including parties who didn't have money to pay for some things which are not allowed to pay from public funds. So I think this became such an existential part of political parties' activity that it's very hard to I don't know, to make them quit. Or I mean, again, as Christina said, we're not against subsidies, and this is what we are trying to explain. First of all, we do monthly monitoring, so we try each month to look at how they spend the money and put it to the public, to explain why it's how this money, where did they come from, how did they spend, why is it dangerous. So I think, firstly, if people don't understand, there will be no pressure on the party. But otherwise, politically, I don't see that the new government will do things better. I mean, because it's probably the same, so or mostly the same. So I don't see a new, and even the opposition parties are using this money. So I mean, nobody wants to give up this money, even the the big bad wolf or the opposition party. So I mean, it's it has become an existential thing. So I think this will be a long fight. Probably one of the things which will help a little bit is the new regulation on political advertising, which will force beneficiaries to publish when there is a political advertising. So I think it's somehow, I hope, to help us a little bit to be more transparent. But in terms of giving the money, giving less money, because this is one of the stakes, I mean, it's not that they give less money, but they give more and more and more each year. I mean, they just gave extra almost 15 million euros in September. It was a very non-transparent decision. We don't know why there is a need. So I think this will be probably one of the long fights that we need to take. And I think we need to explain to people, because this is not a fight to take by, just by your own.
So thank you much. Thank you very much. And I see that, there is perhaps, long fight to reduce the subsidies for the party. And there is a wide consensus among them not to do it quickly. And then at some point we are always finishing our meetings with expectation of better media literacy programs and then voter education. So again, the same claim, the same need. Thank you very much for this first webinar, for this first insight on this very complicated election campaign in Romania. We obviously want to know more. That's why we will organize another webinar soon, where we will see what kind of government you will get. Hopefully, already we will know already, and then we can speak, continue to speak about the future recommendations. Thank you very much. Stay tuned with the EPDE. Check our website to get some news also about our upcoming conference in Brussels. We are conducting the second annual conference of the citizen election observation groups in Brussels. Again, 11th and 12th December in Brussels. Check the website for epde.org website for further details, and stay tuned with us. Thank you very much, Christina. Thank you very much, Septimius. Hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a nice discussion. Goodbye.